Welcome. Wednesday night is here again. Welcome to String Theory, the live YouTube show where you ask the questions and we give the answers concerning all things stringed. The lovely Ginger is in studio. I'm here. Doggos are here. It's a beautiful night. Weather is gorgeous. Fall evening. And Don Messer is playing his ass off over there. And what better could you have? Special thanks to our partners, always, G&G Music in Antigonish, Glen Gotel, thank you, Fantasy Music in Halifax, Boucher Guitars, the whole crew up there, Recording King, Gallagher, Yamaha. Had some really fun stuff going on with Yamaha this week. And Levy Straps, K&K Sound, and I might have forgotten somebody. Anyhow, you all know you're loved, and I talk about you anyway, all the time, no matter who you are. So we're here, and I get the amber liquid of God in my glass, and we're ready to roll. And Dawn just died again. So it's good to see all of you here. I always laugh every time as we're waiting for the live button to go there, that you can see it, go over to the computer there and see everybody talking to each other. So that's really awesome. And we have John R. with us tonight. That's John R. J.R. Cash. I love that picture. He actually put that in the major Nashville trade magazine with the caption, Mr. Cash would like to thank the national music industry for all their support. You couldn't beat that man. He was bad as hell. Anyhow, yeah, I love the man. We're going to start the evening off by announcing the winners. We lost track of people because of the internet last week. So we have the winners of the question last week, which was who took over for Brian Wilson and the Beach Boys, was Glenn Campbell. And the winners were, and don't take this the wrong way, but I got to give it to him because he hasn't won yet, is my brother Joe won. So Joe, you're going to get the Fantasy package, which was the $25 gift certificate from Fantasy and the Red Label t-shirt. And the other winner is Taylor 40th. So, Taylor, if you're watching this or watch it at all or see it or somebody tells you, Taylor 40th, go and send an email to jpcormier38@gmail.com. Tell us you're the winner, and you won the G&G package, which would be, I think at the time, I think we was doing $50 off of Recording King, free pickup in a Boucher guitar if you buy this month, plus you get your G&G Levy's leather strap, custom strap, and strings and winder. So that was last week's winner. Winners. And I want to make a report. I've started doing these things because there's just so much. I just realized something. I can't see you, Ginger. This is a rather unique situation. We have a light in a different place, and I can't see her.
Move the light.
But that's okay. I can hear her.
Move it.
I've started to, I'm always doing research on different things, and I accidentally stumbled upon this guitar company that I wanted to tell you about. Found them on YouTube, saw them being reviewed by a guy, and the fellow who builds these things, his name is Mervyn Davis, and it's Mervyn Davis Guitars, and he makes this instrument they call a smooth talker, and I was boggled by this thing. I don't even know how to describe it, except it looks like a banjo that's completely made out of wood. So it's the actual top of this thing is round, just like a banjo, all wood. It has this bizarre proprietary bridge system and this beautiful ornate carved wood that creates the shoulders where they would be on a regular guitar. And if you haven't ever seen these things, you got to check them out, because I've never seen anything like this. I actually reached out to them, and they got back to me. I guess I'm going to be talking directly with Mr. Davis, and I would love to get one of these guitars in here to review, because it's just freakish. They're so different and so unusual and sound beautiful. So if you want to see a really cool instrument you've never seen before, never imagined, go check out Mervyn Davis Guitars and the model called the Smooth Talker. That's what they are. I don't know anything else about them. I don't know how much they cost. I don't know where you would find them. The guy that I saw demonstrating them was, I think, got his from Gruen's in Nashville. So they're a high-end guitar. I don't know much else about them, but I'm going to research. There were some other things that I got asked about last week. Oh, we're having a special guest very soon. We're going to be doing a review on the channel with Dave Gagnon, the guitar builder that's from up in Pictou County. I've talked with him. He's a very nice man, and he's building very nice guitars. And we're going to bring him down here in about a week, I think. I can't remember exactly what the date is. But we're going to bring him in. We're going to do a full review with him here with us. And we tried to get him for String Theory, but he couldn't quite get out of babysitting duty. He got kids and a family. And but he's coming down with guitars. We're going to do a full video. And so we're going to promote the hell out of our maritime builders. So there you go. Dave Gagnon, Gagnon, Pictou County. On Facebook, he is Dave G. That's who he is. So there you go. Lots to report. There's so many things going on right now, and it's one of the reasons I just love this show and the way that things have gone since the pandemic started. This is a whole new world, and it's highly enjoyable. I heard from Yamaha this morning, because I had just put the first review of the L series. I have 3 L series guitars in the studio on loan, and did a review, put a review up early this morning on the LJ26 guitar, and proud to report that Yamaha obviously saw the video and were thrilled, and it's been sent not only to our local rep saw it and loved it, but it's been sent up to all of the staff in Toronto. And they're actually sending the video over to Japan, where the shop is, where they built these guitars in Hamamatsu. And so I'm really excited about that. Those guys are just incredible. They're building amazing guitars. And I got 2 more guitars to review, so keep your eyes open on the channel for all those things. So, yeah, we're having a blast here. And we're getting ready for our first live concert. We just announced that. I intend to start pretty well up home tonight, light. Dave wanted to call it Sup Homie tonight, but we didn't bother with that one. So I thought it was kind of funny. Sup Homie tonight.
Go over like a lead fart, I think.
Yeah, lead fart, yeah. But anyhow, so we're starting that. That's been announced. The Spinney Brothers are the first artists I want to get in. And we are pre-selling the show through donation. As soon as we get the amount of money we need to pay those guys to come here, we're going to launch the show, schedule it on YouTube, and it's going to be awesome. And I want to do this. We're going to launch the show and run it every Sunday night at 7 o'clock. That's what we want to do. It's a live TV broadcast from here with a different maritime artist featured each week, and get enough money to pay them a decent payday. And because it's so hard now for some of these bands to make any money at all. And you guys, on this odyssey with us have been so generous with us since day one. So this is a way that we can start something that's really groundbreaking. This really hasn't been done, to my knowledge, at this, the way we want to do this and the type of music we want to feature, which is everything from the Maritimes. I miss up home tonight, and I miss those venues where we could see people from here. And there's so many artists that you guys don't know about that I want to show you. And I've actually got a bunch of them on the list already, so it's going to be cool. So we're going to go for the Spinnies first. One of my favorite bluegrass bands ever from this province. And so we're having a good time. Everything's going great. We're having a blast. So I'm going to shut my face and let Ginger ask questions that come from thou.
The first one's from Rob Richardson.
Rob Richardson, I know that name.
Mm-hmm. Just wondering why you choose to play your acoustics through an amp on stage. Pros and cons over using DI boxes.
Okay. I need a drink. So, okay. I'm just wondering how much of this I should say. Okay. Okay, so this is a loaded question for me because, okay, first of all, when I first started out in this business, I was literally playing with 4 and 5 piece bluegrass bands that were gathered around one microphone with no monitors, because you couldn't have a monitor on the stage because the mic was so hot, you couldn't have a monitor. So we were playing in these large ensembles. That's a big band, a 4 or 5 piece acoustic band. You know, upright bass, guitar, mandolin, banjo, and sometimes fiddle, all around one mic, and working the mic. And it's an art form, and it's something I still love to do to this day. And if you watch us perform in here in the barn, you'll see I just use this mic for everything. I know how to work a mic. I know where to put it, how to play my guitar softer when I'm singing, and when I need to take a solo, I turn the guitar, tilt it up there and get it. This mic is a billion miles above anything I had when I was 18. So then from there, I moved into situations where I had front of house people running the sound for me in the house. And you have to understand something. I've played somewhere in the neighborhood. I tried to count it up a few days ago, actually, because I was doing something. I was filling out some kind of what was that? What did I call that thing?
Which thing?
The CV.
I don't remember.
What's the Latin for that?
Curriculum vitae.
Oh yeah, the curriculum vitae. I was doing a curriculum vitae for something, and I had to figure out how many shows I've played. Well, it's around 5,000 shows I've played in my lifetime, and I laughed my ass off when Elton John won a big award for doing 3,000. I was like, "Are you kidding me?" I had done that many by the time I was 35, and he's in his 70s. So I've done so many shows with, and I hope that anybody hears this that's ever mixed me. You guys, the people that know me, I love you. There's no problem with any work you've done for me. But I've run into numerous soundmen that just don't like you because you're playing an acoustic guitar plugged in, and they try to make it difficult. And it's obvious that they are. They're not ignorant. They know what they're doing, but they have control of what you hear in that wedge, right? And they just never get it right. There's many people that I've worked with that do. They understand. They know what it has to be. But there's a contingent of people that I never met before, and it's a war. It's a literal war between me and the sound man, trying to get him to let me hear what I'm doing. And I got so tired of that over years that I decided about 15 years ago that I was not going to put up with that anymore. And the way to stop the argument and the fight and the stress of trying to hear your guitar and it's feeding back and they won't mix it the way you've told them how to do it, because I know how to do it so it works, but they won't listen to you. So I started carrying an amp, and it solved all my problems because they can't control my amp. So what ends up happening now is when I go on stage, I tell them I don't want anything in the monitors but my vocal, and I want barely any of that. And I turn the amp on. The Fishman is the most powerful, clean, direct signal that you can get with post EQ. So it comes out of the back of the amp in an XLR cable, just like a DI. It is a DI, except it comes out of there with my mix on it. So that goes to the board, and all they have to do is turn it up and leave it flat, and it sounds just like the amp. There's a little bit of adjustment to be done depending on what the system consists of, but I no longer have to struggle to hear my guitar. And in my kind of music and the way that I put on a show, if I can't hear my guitar, I might as well not be there. Because the guitar is everything. It's the only instrument that's playing. And if I'm playing with other people, that becomes even more important, because I need to be able to hear myself over anything else that's on the stage. So I always keep it on a stand. It's always off the ground. It's halfway up my body, sort of. And I sort of aim it at one ear. I turn it on, and I make sure that it's not blowing everybody off the stage. It's not about volume wars. It's about clarity. So that when I hear what I'm playing feeding into my head, it's immediate. And you can't get that through monitors and DIs. You just can't. You have no control. Because usually what happens on stage, and people don't seem to realize this, is that monitors are the most volatile thing on a stage. They cause all the feedback that occurs on stage. So what happens? A good sound man rings those things out, and he removes all the frequencies that are going to feed back. There's certain ones that always do, and if the room, depending on the room, there's more that have to be pulled out. Well, if you plug your guitar into a DI and it's coming back through that monitor, the monitor's already missing all of the frequencies, the pretty frequencies that's in your guitar. So your guitar sounds that thick and horrible, and the more you turn it up, the worse it gets. So I have advocated for the use of good, not any amp, good amps, good that are designed for acoustic musicians, like the Fishman Loudbox, like the AER, like the Shirtler. Even Recording King makes one that I haven't tried yet, but I want to try. And believe me, if you ever get used to doing that, to just carrying that little box into this venue with you and putting it on a chair and plugging into it, and there's your sound. And you have nothing else to worry about. You put a line in and it goes up to the board, and there's no more worry. If you ever get used to doing that, you will never, ever change back to going through DIs. Like I watched Dave Gunning, who's one of the most brilliant engineers that I've ever known. And he knows exactly how to manipulate. He carries a pedal board that he fiddles and fuddles with forever to get his sound. And his sound is incredible. But it takes a ton of effort. In every single room he goes into, it's a different setting. This thing, it's the same in every room. I plug it in, I turn it on, there's my sound. And it goes out to the board, see ya, it's done. So that's a long answer, but it's important because a lot of people don't realize what's behind when you get up behind a microphone on stage, how difficult some parts of it are. And that's one of the most difficult ever, is getting a decent sound on your acoustic guitar. And that fixes the problem. So thanks to K&K, best pickups ever. And that little amp has been served me well I've been using them for 15 years. So, and I've used all the others too. So they're all good. You can't really go wrong. Who's next?
We have a super chat from Jeff Gallant.
Hey, Jeff.
So this question actually came up a lot in the chat. What are your views on the Eddie Van Halen death? And can you do a little tribute?
I wish. I wish I could do a tribute. I thought about it today. Well, let me put it this way. He died too soon, and apparently of the same cancer that took Ron Hines at the base of the tongue, and the same cancer that almost killed Mike Elliott, my bass player. And Mike survived, thank God. But all I can say to you is I remember the very first time I heard Eddie Van Halen. It was around 1982, and I had never heard of Van Halen. And somebody put their first album on at a party, and I freaked. Hearing him play the guitar was mind shattering because it was so new and so fresh. And strangely enough, though, and not to take anything away from Eddie, because Van Halen was the master of this technique, but the three finger, the tapping that he did, that he perfected and turned into this huge juggernaut of style, was actually invented by Chet. Chet did it first, and Eddie, I'm sure, heard it and turned it into this incredible. Like, there's really no way to describe Eddie Van Halen. Really, I remember when he first came out, a lot of guitar players were like, "Well, he's just a one-trick pony." He used to play the guitar with his back turned so nobody could see what he was doing. That was hilarious. Like, I thought that was incredible that he wouldn't even show. He'd turn his back so nobody could see how he was doing all his tapping. He only did that for a while, but then, of course, he turned around after a while, and you saw what he was doing. It didn't help. You could see all day you'd never be able to do it, right? Until you get a guitar in your hand and practice it for 6 months, you might be able to do it. The way he did it, he was so incredibly good at it that it just became, I don't know, almost another style of music. He turned it into something. And then if you go forward past Van Halen, he inspired people like Stanley Jordan, who took it another step further and played everything by tapping. Everything. The most complex things you've ever heard. This guy was a genius, and he took that pathway that Van Halen started and began that. And then you take it a step further and you look at into the acoustic world, where Van Halen, everything he did started to influence people like Michael Hedges, who did it on acoustic, and Andy McKee, and all these people who do percussive acoustic tapping and 3 and 4 finger tapping. Van Halen was the catalyst of that made it not only popular but acceptable. Guitar players, for the most part, are hard to accept change, and it's when guys like Van Halen come along that a guy like that can come along and do something incredibly artistic inside the pop world that alters every guitar player afterwards, including myself. I 3-finger tap on stage. I put it in the middle of the Mason's apron, and I got it from Eddie Van Halen. I've done it on other recordings. There's 3-finger tapping all through. I took basically a Van Halen break on the Clinch Mountain backstep on the Chance record, Eddie Van Halen. And I'm a trad player, Celtic bluegrass Americana, and he influenced me enough that I still visit that style. So if there's anybody out there, and there always will be naysayers who will look at, he's passed on now, and they'll be like, he was a guitar god, yeah, blah, blah, blah. Well, it ain't blah, blah, blah. He really was a guitar god. And I love what he did, and saw him interviewed many times, and he was a very passionate. He believed in what he did. He believed in the band. He believed in, the things that he did. He stood by them, stood behind them, and you can't ask for much more than that, right? So it's a great loss. It's a great loss, but all these people must leave us at some point or another, unfortunately. So anyhow, here's to Eddie Van Halen. I hope everybody has a beer or something, tea, rum, whatever. Eddie. All right, who's next?
A super chat from Cam.
Cam McMaster's in the hoose.
Will there be or can there be any maritime-born musicians that now live in other parts of the country featured on the Up Home Tonight Light?
Well, I don't see how that's possible initially because we don't have the technology. And I don't mean us, I mean the world. We don't have a technology yet that allows people to play without latency, right? That's the problem. If there was a way to video conference somebody in with the audio quality that we have here, that they could have on their end, and there's no latency, where they can hear me immediately and I can hear them immediately at the same time and play at the same time, that technology doesn't exist yet. At least not for regular consumers. I'm sure NASA could do it, but we can't do it. So, and with the travel bans, there's just no way. I mean, there's all kinds of people outside this bubble that I would die to have here, and who would come here, but they'd have to come here for 14 days to make a single payday, and it's just not. There's just not enough money in it for them to do it. It's not feasible economically for them. So until there's a vaccine, we're going to be just focusing on the East Coast. And believe me, there's enough material in these 4 provinces to last us years. We could do years of we're gonna run the show just like a real TV show. Start filming in 1st of September, end of May, and take the summers off. I guarantee you, if the original Up Home Tonight did 8 years, that's 400 some shows, right? And they never repeated a guest, hardly ever repeated a guest. I was on 3 times, but there were some other people that were on 2 or 3 times. But generally speaking, they filled 8 years of material just out of the maritime talent pool. Maybe 2 or 3 or 4% was from outside. I remember they had Kenny Baker on from the States. They had different things on from the U.S. that were passing through. They drew all the talent from the Maritimes. This place is filled with players and a lot of people that not everyone knows, and they need the help. So I think at this point I'm not as concerned with outside artists as I am right now helping the artists that are here. So there you go. There's the answer for that one, Cam. Love you, brother. Okay, who's next?
Rick Williams.
Rick Williams. Is that new?
I don't think so.
Okay.
What do you think of Shatton HFN passive pickup for acoustic guitar compared to K&K?
Shatton?
Shatton. SCHATT.
I'm not a big Shatton fan. I'm not a big fan of anybody but K&K because there's no other system except for, and I can't recall the name of it, its system, similar to K&K. James Taylor uses it. It's a 3-sensor system. It's the same idea, except they're just larger. I just can't use any other system because all of those things, it doesn't matter what they are, if they're not using that. What was the model number of that Shatton?
HFN passive pickup.
Yeah, I'm not sure which one that is, but I've never seen a Shatton I would ever use. I'm sorry, but that's even they're not good pickups. I've seen them as undersaddles. I've seen them as contact pickups. I've seen them as sensor pickups. They're just not that good. K&K is the best pickup I've ever used. It's all I just put one in a guitar today. I put one in a Recording King today, and when we installed another one on our channel, I put another one in a second Recording King just an hour ago, and it may be the best sounding pickup guitar that I've got in the room right now. It's just they just translate the guitar so faithfully that you just can't go back to piezos or any other. I've never heard another company deliver the quality of tone that a K&K Pure Mini does. I'm sorry, but I know a lot of people, look at other pickups and they want volume controls, they want tone controls, they want blah, blah, blah. Well, think about this for a second. The reason you need a tone control is the pickup sounds like shit. You don't need a tone control or any of that thing with a K&K because it sounds just like your guitar. So then there's the volume pedal or volume control issue. That's not an issue either if you use an amp or a volume pedal, or just get used to not having the volume control. Trust your sound, man. If you're running your own sound, you have control. So, yeah, I'm not a fan of Shatton. Shatton is about the same thing as, like Shadow and B-Band, and like those companies just don't make very good electronics, I'm afraid. I'm sorry, but that's been my personal experience over 20 years, experimenting with just about everything until I settled with K&K. So do the K&K. You'll be happier. And it's cheaper. They're the cheapest thing you can buy. So, all right, next.
Ricky Carter.
Ricky Carter.
I was wondering if you could pick a reel for his late father, Kiffy Carter.
Oh, Jesus, that's the Carter. I absolutely can play a tune for Kiffy. He was one of my heroes. For Kiffy. God, that man will be missed. He was one of the greatest guitar players I ever saw. Seriously. That if you never saw Kiffy Carter play, you missed something. I'll tell you. And I hope there's some YouTube footage of him. Maybe there's some of me and him. I had him in the Guitar Summit. I had many occasions, to play with Kiffy, and by God, that guy was uncanny. Just the amount of music he knew and the way he could play it was just flabbergasting. So he'll be well missed, that man. And thanks, Ricky, for asking. Love to you and the whole family. Okay, who's next?
Kenneth Innes.
Kenneth Innes.
What do you know about the Yamaha L25A?
L25A. Boy, that's a rare one. I don't know much about it at all. I've heard of it. That's a rare guitar. I'm gonna look that up. I've heard of that guitar. L25A. Yeah, I don't know right offhand. It must be an acoustic. I'm assuming. No, it's not coming to mind right now. But I'm gonna look it up. If you own one, don't part with it. Some of those Yamahas that were odd one-off guitars like that, like the 25s and the LL45s, those guitars are really, really rare and valuable and made by probably Hiroshi Sakurai or one of his contemporaries, who would be the master luthier at the custom shop in Hamamatsu, Japan. So yeah, I'm gonna look it up. I'll get back to you next week on it. Thank you for that. All right, who's next?
The Happy Knot.
The Happy Knot, back in the house. Good to see you again.
Says, you once described Takamine guitars as garbage. Are they capable of making a great sounding guitar? Have you ever played one that was unexpectedly nice?
I know I call Tax garbage. They're not garbage. They're just disposable. I can't help it. They are. There's nothing wrong with them. Don't get me wrong about that. There's you. If you wanted a guitar to take on the road that's going to sound the same every night when you plug it in, with a lot of power, a lot of headroom, and will never, they don't go out of tune, they don't seem to care about humidity or temperature, or they are designed as a workhorse for touring musicians. That's what they do. As for finding a tack that blew me away, because I've owned a lot of them. I mean, I call them garbage, but they're not garbage. They're just not a guitar that you'd run out into the house in a fire to get. You'd pick another guitar. Besides that, you could replace that one if you had to, because they're all the same. They're very consistent. They're very well made. There's nothing wrong with the way they're made. But they're just not stellar acoustic instruments. They're designed to be consistent on the road in adverse conditions. And I've never really found one that I played and went, wow. To the contrary, unfortunately, I've picked up some tacks that just looked amazing, beautifully made guitars. And you pick them up and it's like, you play it, it's like, this has no guts. None. It's just flat. It's even. It's not loud. But then you plug it in and it sounds even, right? And that's what you want. It's easy to mix. It's easy to get a sound out of it. It's consistent. And that's about the long and the short of it. They don't mean to build guitars that are cannons. That's not what they do. They build guitars that are really ornate for some performers, and they build guitars that are 1,000% reliable. No matter what the condition is, when you pick that thing out of that goddamn case, it's going to work every single time. And that's why tacks are popular. And I can't endorse them enough for that property. But I truly haven't really picked one up. I have a TAC 12 string that was made for me many years ago now, and I've kept it all this time because it is a fairly good sounding guitar. But I bought it because it's consistent. I was touring with it at the time. I had a 12 string on stage with me every night, and it was so easy to get along with. It held its tune. It didn't worry about the weather. I would just walk in, plug it in, turn up the volume, boom, done. It didn't sound like much. It was just consistent, right? It wasn't earth shattering, still isn't, but that's what people have to realize. Some guitar companies build for that purpose. They want to build a guitar that's, that works all the time, that you don't have to worry about, because that's a problem when you're touring. If you're on the road a couple 100 days or 100 days, whatever, a year, traveling east, west, north, and south, becomes an issue if your guitar is too fragile. And Takamines are not fragile. Believe me, they are tough as bullets. So I'm sure I'm sure there is the odd one that you pick up and go, wow. But I've never seen one. I've even seen the what they claim to be the bluegrass Takamine, which is like a herringbone dreadnought. It was okay. It was not incredible, but plugged in, whew, it sounded great because they designed it for that. So there you go. That's the best I can do. Sorry. Who else we got?
We got another super chat from Jeff Gallant.
Thank you, Jeff.
The Yamaha F310 Acoustic. Have you played many? And any suggestions to set it up?
I don't know. I've most definitely played one at some point. Your setup should be the one thing about Yamahas is the same way. When you're below the L series, if you're below the A, F, or L series guitars, and you're playing in the the 800s and below, those guitars are getting better and better as we go along. Just because everything that's coming out of China is getting better. It's scary how good the instruments are coming. I mean, these recording kings are all built in China shops, and the Yamaha is the same way on the lower level ones. So what do you say it was, a 350?
310.
A 310. So if it's a brand new guitar, the first thing you're going to notice, and they all have it, Yamaha has a tremendously good truss system. So what you want to do is just fool with the truss first. If the action's too high, which it probably will be, pull the truss back and see, because their truss system is really good. It doesn't just put a bow on the neck, it moves the whole neck at an angle. So it could, if you put a half turn on it, it'll come right back, and if you loosen it, it'll go back where it was. It's not the normal. It's a real two-way truss system. It'll move the neck in any direction you want it to, right? So tighten the truss up and bring the neck back and see if that helps your action. If it doesn't help it enough, or it starts to buzz, then you need to take the saddle out and just shave the saddle down and get it, not much, a little bit at a time. It's a tedious process if you're unsure of how much to remove from the bottom of the saddle. You have to kind of know what those things look like, but just take a little bit of time, put it in, restring it, check the action again. It takes a while if you're not familiar, if you've never done it before, but it's easy to do. Just make sure you keep the bottom of the saddle very flat, very even. Sand it down, stick it in there, keep it going. Those two things together can give you tremendously good action. The Yamaha neck is perfection. I don't care what model they put out. Their necks are really, really good, well made, good truss system. So that's what I would do. I've never had any Yamaha in my life that I couldn't draw down to play like butter, because they're just built that way. So there you go. That's how you do her. Butter.
Melted butter.
Butter. Melted butter. Melted butter.
Anyway, we got a super chat from Jeff Hawthorne.
Jeff Hawthorne.
From Charlotte, North Carolina.
Oh, man. Welcome. One of my favorite places in the world, North Carolina.
He's curious about your opinion of Eastman guitars.
I love Eastman guitars. I am dying to get my hands on a. It's called the E40D. Oh my God, they're nice guitars. And every time I run into one, they they sit there forever. Then I finally decide to go buy it, and it's gone. Like, it's frustrating. I've been trying to get a hold of one for 3 years now, and I love them. I've had numerous Eastman guitars, and I'm actually trying to work a deal to get back involved with them because I play their mandolins, and I love their mandolins. I've got two of them, and yeah, the E40D, the one that has the torch on the headstock. The ones that I've seen were sunburst. Oh my God, they were just gorgeous, and they don't. They're really unique guitars. They're not cannons. They sound vintage. They have this strange, like, if you've ever played a really old Martin that's like super dead and it's all tone. You know what I mean? Like, it's not volume, it's all tone. Like Tony Rice's guitar, the most famous Martin in the world. That guitar has zero projection. I've heard it from across the room and just went, because I couldn't believe how quiet it was. But if you get that far away from it, like mic distance, it will rip your face off. It has this pyramid of projection, dry, warm power. Like, it just focuses right in front of the guitar. Well, that's what Eastmans do. And it's really something, really something. Like, they understand, much the same as Yamaha and these other Asian builders, right? They understand what made those old guitars great, and so they take that old technology and perfect it ever so slightly and change it a little bit and put their own version of it out. And there's a whole new batch of Eastman guitars coming out on the market now. One of them actually is adorned with maple leaves going up the neck and the headstock that I really want to get my hands on. I saw it at the NAMM show in Los Angeles in January and played it, met all the guys from Eastman. Coincidentally, this is very interesting. Eastman buys a large portion of the total number of guitars that Boucher builds. Eastman is Boucher distributor in China. They love Robin so much that they buy a certain, I don't know what the percentage is, it's quite a lot. It's like 12 to 24 guitars a year. That's a lot of guitars somewheres in there. They just buy them. And for instance, this spring, the first dozen that were on their way to China for Eastman to sell got sold before the guitars arrived there. So that's how much Eastman loves guitar. They buy wood from Robin. They sell Boucher guitars in China for Robin, and they make these great guitars. So yeah, I love Eastman. I always have. Like, I found out about Eastman, God, years ago, years and years ago. I started to see their guitars, and prior to that, I knew about them as a cello company and as an archtop jazz guitar company, which they make some of the best on the planet. These guys, they're masters of carved top guitars, right? Carved back. That's why their mandolins are so good. That's why their cellos are renowned. And they just started really delving into acoustic flat top guitars in the past 15, 20 years. And yes, I can't recommend them enough. I don't have one, but I sure hope to get one in the next couple of years because I really love their stuff. And they've been a big help. You know, when you use an instrument, a company, as much as I have their mandolins, I've been playing their mandolins for well over a decade. They become part of your family, right? Like, that's these instruments, you know, like these guys and Boucher and Recording King and like my banjo is a recording king. I'll never go back to my Gibson. It's the best. The recording king is the best banjo I've ever owned. So these instruments become part of my, this is how I not only make my living, but make my music. These are the tools that I speak through. So it's, yeah, I love Eastman. If you can get your hands on one, by all means do her, because I'm always looking for one. Someday I'll have one, hopefully, again. All right, who's next?
We have another super chat from Cam.
All right, what's my favorite color of my socks?
No, not quite this time. Do you have any tips for playing live on stage to not get distracted by things like tall people, bad haircuts, cleavage, and steak dinners?
I usually a lot of alcohol. That's usually the best way to do it. Is just like
Don't wear your glasses so you can't see.
Don't wear yeah, but then you can't see the neck of the guitar, and then you're really screwed. Then. It's a funny question because it is so true. It is so true. You wouldn't believe the shit I've seen in an audience while I was trying to play. You would not believe it. If I told you some of the things that I looked out and saw, it was at times, I've had everything occur in my audience from sex to people dying. I've had people drop dead in the audience. There was people screwing at a festival. There's been everything in between. Everything in between. People naked. People just, I don't know, wearing clown suits. Everything. You could imagine, like some of the things that I've seen from the stage, and I'm there trying to keep a straight face.
Friends dressed up dragging carrots around?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. Most recently, and it was really bad, not funny, but me and Gunning were doing a Christmas show at West, and the guy right in the front row started to hemorrhage from his nose. And I don't mean a nosebleed, I mean it was pouring out, and he wasn't noticing. It was terrifying. I was looking at Dave and said, that guy's going to bleed out here in a second. He just was blood flying, and I stopped the show. It was that distracting. I stopped the show and said, "Are you all right, sir?" Like, "Oh yeah, I'm fine." It's like, but that's what I mean. Like, it's some of the things that I've seen are just out of this world, and I don't even know. You're asking me how to ignore that? You can't ignore it. You just have to, especially if it's funny. There's no way to ignore it. I'll tell you how I do it sometimes is I get angry. I make myself get, not at the audience, but at the guitar. When I see something like that, and it makes me want to just blow everything and walk away and hold on to my gut, I focus on the guitar and go, okay, bastard, I'm gonna make you this, and I get cantankerous with the guitar. I start talking to the guitar in my head, right? So I don't have to focus on whatever's in front of me. I can't even say some of the shit that I've seen. So that's how I do it. And mostly, another secret is just close your goddamn eyes. Just because that looks natural, right? You're on stage, it's like, and you like, and people are looking at you going, "Oh, he's really feeling it now. Oh, look at him. He's so passionate." But what you're really doing is trying to ignore this guy in the front row that's getting a golden Labrador like peanut butter off his nutsack. Like you have to do whatever you have to do, right? To ignore whatever is in front of you, because if you travel enough, you will. And that wasn't an errant statement. I actually saw that at a festival one time. So you do whatever you have to ignore the problem, whatever that might be. And so that's my two ways. I just get really intense on the guitar and just make it whip it really good, and other things, just close your eyes and just put your head down, especially if you're laughing, because thank God most of the things that you see from the stage are funny. That's why they distract you. Like 95% of it is just hilarious. Uh, I could write a book. I am writing a book. But yeah, so that's how you do it. That's how I do it. There's probably a million other ways to do it, but anyhow. One more question before the question?
Yeah, well, there's a super chat we need to address.
Okay, super chat. Who's this from?
From Jeff Gallant.
Oh, Jeff again. How you doing, buddy? One more time.
He says, Dave Gunnings do a show on PEI soon. What are the chances of you showing up?
Absolutely none. Unfortunately, with everything that's going on, that sort of free for all just ain't happening anymore these days. I wish it was, because we used to do those kind of things all the time. But we, just so that you know, I don't know if they've announced this yet or not, or why they haven't. Maybe I'm speaking out of turn.
Probably.
But we are playing. We're doing 2 nights at the Trailside in for Christmas. I'm not sure the dates right off the top of my head, but you can probably call the Trailside. We're
26 November.
What is it?
26 November.
There you go. 25th and 26th of November at the Trailside, gunning Cormier Christmas. So there you go. All right. So.
Oh, there's one more thing.
Oh, what do we got?
It's Tim Eadie.
Tim Eadie?
Yes.
Tim Eadie.
He's having lots of fun here tonight.
Tim Eadie is the greatest guitar player in the world. He's watching this.
Oh yes.
Did I play the guitar in front of him?
You did.
Oh Jesus.
You did. He wants to know if Donair sauce makes one a better guitar player.
It absolutely does, especially if you mix it with cheese whiz. And that is the secret thing that I use each night. Before I go on stage, and Tim can vouch for this because he's toured with me, I drink a glass of Donair sauce, and then I have a nice tablespoon of cheese whiz, and that's how we do it.
And for dessert?
Oh, and for dessert, we always have spotted dick. Tim probably pissing in his pants right now. So the way that works, guys, is I introduced Tim to Donair sauce and cheese whiz, and he introduced me while I was in the UK to spotted dick, which is a pudding, a dessert pudding. So I'll tell you that story just very quickly. Tim and I were performing together for the entire Shetland Folk Festival, and it was one of the most magic weeks. I don't even have words to describe. I love Tim. I love you so much, brother. And we had the best time. And we're sitting at one of those. They were taking us. The Shetland Folk Festival is a lot like Celtic Colours. The venues are all over the island. So they took us to this little place up in Yell, which is my favorite place to play. I actually have a fan club up there. And there's 22,000 people in Shetland, and they claim that every single person that lives there has a copy of Another Morning. So we're up there, and they're serving us this beautiful stew that they made. The people come from all around and cook for you. And we're having this beautiful stew, and I'm just in homemade biscuits and big thing of Hart beer, and I'm sitting there and I'm just digging into this. And Tim's sitting across from me, and I've got this big mouthful of biscuit and stew, and Tim looks across the table at me and goes, "I wonder what we're having for dessert." And I went, "I don't know." And he goes, "I hope it's spotted dick." And I spit stew all over the place, and everybody's like, "What just happened over there?" So that's how I learned about spotted dick. And then he told me what it was. It's like a pudding that comes in a can. I don't know. I never even ate it, but it sounded disgusting. But anyhow, I love you, Tim. God bless your heart. Greatest guitar player ever. If you guys, on the rest of our folks here, never saw Tim, by God, you better go on YouTube or Facebook and watch that man. The guy's a goddamn genius. One of the best guitar players in my opinion, that ever lived. So, and our album, we have an album. We don't. How many of these do we have left?
A lot.
This is our album. We made a record together.
A box of them. So
it's called Once. We made this entire record basically in one take. We just sat in a room with a pair of microphones. I never told him anything I was going to play. Barely told him what key I was starting in. And we made 80 minutes of music with no edits or repairs or fixes, nothing. Just sat there and played for 78 minutes. And it's just love this record. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Okay, so our question. And this question is lame, but I had to do it. So the prizes, of course, we have 2 prizes now, thanks to Fantasy Music joining us here. They were always with us, but now they're really getting involved because things are heating up down there. So we have 2 prizes. We have a prize from G&G Music this week, of course, as we always do. $25 off the purchase of any Recording King guitar, and Glenn has a bunch more in now. If you're up in the Antigonish area, or if you want to get something shipped to you, he ships anywhere in the world. $25 off of any Recording King. Plus, if you buy a Boucher this month, a free pickup, $400 value. Either K&K or Fishman. Of course, I want to, go with the K&K. You'll be happier. And you get the free G&G custom Levy's leather strap, plus a set of strings and a winder. And that's our normal prize from G&G. And we appreciate Glenn so much. He helps us all since the very beginning. He's been here every single show with us, helping us reach out to you. And our second prize, not second place, but second in general, is from Fantasy Music, who is also a Boucher dealer. If you're having problems finding Boucher, Glenn has got 1 or 2 left, I believe, and is waiting for more. There's 4 of them at Fantasy. If you're looking for one, they are there. Spring Garden Road in Halifax. They also deal Recording King, and they're also starting to become one of the boutique dealers for Yamaha handmade guitars. So that's a place you want to go. If you want to go see the L series in all its glory, that's the place to see them. So from Fantasy Music this week, you get a $25 gift certificate for anything in the store, and you're going to get a red label Yamaha t-shirt. Beautiful t-shirts. And go in and see the boys. If you want to see a Boucher, a Recording King, handmade Yamaha, they have a full-service store. They got a recording studio downstairs. They got a music school starting up. Steve McNeil, not the premier. Fantasy Music, Spring Garden Road in Halifax, and our best buddy up in Antigonish, Mr. Glenn Gotel at G&G Music. These are tremendous people that work with us and make me proud to be a Maritimer, and just how much everybody just pulls together when we need to. So it's awesome. So the question that will get you two people these prizes is a lame-ass question, but I have to ask it because, well, I had this plan from before we started, so there was a question about this gentleman that we just lost and loved. So what was the name of the only instrumental on Van Halen's first record, released in 1978? It can't be taking that long.
Yeah, we got it.
Who is it?
So first was Eddie Callanan.
Eddie Callanan, yes, sir.
And second was Jonathan Andrews.
Jonathan Andrews. All right.
Cheese whiz, says Cam.
Of course, the answer is Eruption. And that was I almost gave away the answer to the question when I had that Eddie Van Halen question, because that was the very first thing I ever heard of Van Halen. I never even heard the other songs or the singing or any of that. Somebody played me Eruption at a party one night, and I nearly shit in my pants. And I just listened to it again before the show started just to get that memory in my head, and it came flooding back, hearing him play for the first time, right? So Eddie Callanan, you know my email address, but I'll give it to you again, jpcormier38@gmail.com. Send me an email. I'll ship you off. You will get the Fantasy Music package, and These are in no particular order. And Jonathan Andrews, send an email to jpcormier38@gmail.com. Reference the contest answer, eruption. And you, sir, win the G&G package. So I will forward your emails on to the respective stores. And if you can't get to them, these stores will ship this stuff to you. A coupon, your t-shirt, or your strap, strings, like all those things can be sent to you. So there you go. There's another Wednesday night. We're 6 minutes over, and who gives a shit? Because we're having fun. So I want to thank everybody, all of our partners. I mentioned you at the top of the show. Just keep your eyes open. There is so much stuff coming up on the YouTube channel. It's just ridiculous. There's reviews, concerts, and everybody's just in there with us all the way. We appreciate you a lot. We'll see you next Wednesday night on String Theory. And just remember, guitar players unite. The guy that has the most when he dies wins. See you soon.